Candidates vying for Georgia's Senate seats make their case to voters. Well, some of them. This, as today marks a key deadline for voters in the state. But before we go to commercial, this shout out was our dear friend Steve Kornacki. In his very smart new little haircut, he started his Sunday on Meet the Press and he ended it on Sunday Night Football. The master of the big board broke down the playoff picture in Week 13. Instead of a path to 270, he made a path to the playoffs.
Washington, they still got to play Pittsburgh this week. And if Washington loses that game, the Giants then move a full game ahead of Washington. And by the way, they have the tiebreaker over Washington as well with those two head-to-head victories. So a possibility that 45% could climb even further.
Research shows that people remember commercials and exciting stunts. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance, here's something you should try at home.
All right, guys. Good morning. So today we're looking at NVAX Neo.
Only pay for what you need.
I'm sorry. So today we're looking at NVAX Neo, Boeing, and J Maya. Neo, excuse me. NVAX. Let's talk about NVAX first. So I like NVAX where it's at right now. It's at support and the average line right here. It did sell off pre-market just a little bit. Reclaimed some of that. Reclaimed $1 of that, more or less, about $2 almost. And so it's trading lower for no apparent reason. All the vaccine stocks are going up. Pfizer's going up. Moderna is going up. So I think this should follow. We do have a few days of this selling off from 151. So I would say a nice level of resistance or support. I believe it's almost where it's at right now. There we go. So that's a level of resistance going back from Friday, Thursday, and Tuesday. So I'm liking where it's at. We'll see what happens. Neo is trading lower, but reclaimed a lot of that pre-market. So it sold off hard pre-market, and it regained a lot of that. So right now it's underneath support from Friday's session. That is support right there. So we see that it broke it, came back up, bounced off it, went up, bounced off it, went up, bounced off it, went up. So 42.68, it is a little lower than that, which is still looking good to me. It did sell off because XPeng, the other XPEV, the other EV car company, is doing a second offering. So that also dropped pretty hard after that. But then it reclaimed some of it. I'll show it to you right now. So, you can see here, look at this. When the announcement came about, that's when it dropped. And then, it reclaimed some of that. It went from 44 to 40, well, $2 it went up. So, but second offerings are dangerous. So I definitely won't be looking at this one. Neo, since it's just trading off of sympathy that it dropped. I'm going to assume that's what it is. There's no recent news on it but that. So Neo, NVAX, Neo, and Boeing. Boeing, because of the stimulus and the vaccine, more the vaccine than anything, this thing flew. It is way high right now. So I'm going to still keep it on the charts, only because I'm expecting for a bunch of a bunch of profit takers to come in after this massive high right now. I mean, look, this thing went from this point at 231 to all the way to 239. It's an $8 run pre-market. That's pretty sick. And then we're looking at now. I'm thinking of switching up Jmaya to Twillo. So Jmaya also went up pre-market. So it is currently, that would be resistance, and that would be support. Let me get rid of this line. Same thing happened last time. So Jmaya is right above the resistance from Friday. So even though it's still down compared to Friday's and Thursday's jump, but Twillo, look at Twillo. Twillo is actually trading in the sweet spot. I mean, it's right there by the oversold. So honestly, I'm thinking, because Neo is a little too high right now, Boeing is way too high right now, Twillo is perfectly fine where it's at. It's already at support. It can go lower. I don't see any recent news on this. I didn't see anything at all except for unusual options activity.
Of course, the worst of the pandemic is hitting us right now. Hospitalizations are way up, deaths are way up, cases are way up. And I think that
325.
has taken on such an extraordinary importance in a way that maybe it doesn't.
I don't see anything on the short squeeze. You can always also do the short squeeze. Check up online. So this is what the short squeeze is.
Sarah has a lot of Washington experience. Will understand, of course, how the place works, and I think that's one of the things that.
So this gives you an idea of the interest in shorting a stock. So here we have short interest ratio, days to cover, 3.2. An increase or decrease percentage in shorting the stock, minus 4%. There's no news on this on the platform news, and Googling it that says that there is.
All right, Peter,
She's talking good about the stock.
Reporting that Attorney General Bill Barr, who for much of his time in this administration has been considered a human shield for President Trump, he's now considering leaving the administration before President Trump leaves office. Why would he do that? Right? He stayed until the end back in 1993 when he was serving with President Bush.
I think that what his people are saying, of course, is it's not directly related to the events of the last couple of days and weeks in which he clearly drawn the ire of the president, but it's hard not to see it in that context. He said, of course, that he didn't see any fraud on a scale that would have been enough to overturn the election that angered the president. He's been railing about that in private, the president has. He feels betrayed by Bill Barr. He was upset at Bill Barr before the election because the Attorney General wouldn't prosecute Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or somebody. The president almost literally screaming, please just prosecute somebody. And Bill Barr wouldn't do it, which of course...
So I don't see any recent news of why it's dropping, to be honest with you.
So willing to help the president so many previous ways, by his framing of the Mueller report when it came out, by going easy on Mike Flynn and Roger Stone and other...
So I am liking Twillo right now a lot more than the other ones.
There was massive fraud when there isn't any out there. I think that's clearly inserted a great deal of attention into that relationship. If you leave,
I also like where NVAX is at as well. So Boeing is too high. I need Boeing to drop, so I'm going to remove Boeing. I'm going to put...
Coming up next, the UK is preparing to administer its first round of vaccines this week. But
I'll put Twillo here, NVAX here, and Neo here. There we go.
Why did you invest in gold? Are you living in the past?
All right, so we're focusing on Twillo right now. With 3 minutes left on the bell. We have NVAX right next to that. So it just seems that this is the level right here where it's bouncing off of. So support. So right here seems to be the support level. Kind of a low from there, but we'll see.
So when I heard about the Applied Digital Skills courses, that definitely appealed to me. You're learning how to create spreadsheets, documents.
All right. Boeing is too high, so I switched. I have Twillo on the charts right now. So I have Neo, NVAX. I'm sorry, Twillo, NVAX, Neo, and JMaya. So JMaya is trading a little high. It is dropping a little bit.
It's empowering to have that knowledge that nobody can.
Neo's also trading high. NVAX is somewhat at the sweet spot. And Twillo is definitely down there. So we like him low. Right now it's on discount. I don't know. I don't have a clear picture on why it's on discount compared to where it was at. I mean, we look at the 5-day chart real quick. It is trading a little high, but if we look at the 4-hour, 184-hour, we still have room to go from a high. And yep, we still have room to go. So let's see what Twillo does for us. No, this does have room to grow. It did for the last 2 days. It sold off a little bit. Sold off on Thursday and then sold off more on Friday. It did that on Tuesday, sold off more on Wednesday, and then it climbed up. So almost the same story, but it is a little bit higher. So we're going to gauge it and see what happens to this. So we're all set and ready watching Twillo, NVAX, Neo, and JMaya. We switched Twillo for BA Boeing. So BA is no longer on the charts. Too high. Too high. Although I do think it'll sell off. And we see right now Twillo selling off already with 21 seconds left until the bell rings.
The real. Sustainable luxury and up to 90% off retail. Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Gucci, Celine, Cartier, Tiffany, and hundreds more. Shop, consign, repeat. Get 20% off select items.
All right.
The United Kingdom is set to begin administering coronavirus vaccines as early as tomorrow. I want to go live to Keir Simmons.
Twillo is selling off.
How's this going to work and who gets it first?
Well, the way it's going to work is that 50 hospitals, including the one behind me here, have got the vaccine, and they will begin those vaccinations within 24 hours.
And that's starting to climb.
This is actually the hospital where the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was treating
Neo starting to climb. Too high. Neo and JMaya are too high still for me.
Doses in one batch. So you can imagine one of the challenges to try to spread those out around the UK in a week's time. I think they're going to be able to give those.
Alright, so we're currently hovering over sold in the RSI. Our skull looks like it wants to cross. I am still liking Twillo, NVAX. My lines are right underneath it.
Very, very, very frozen. It gets defrosted, and then you have 5 days after it's been defrosted to actually.
Alright, so it's past the support now.
It's all about getting the vaccine.
So new level support down here, it already passed that as well. It keeps selling off. When is it going to turn? Will it turn soon? MU is on the oversold scanner.
All at the same time, Steph. So it is a logistical challenge. They are absolutely confident that they are up to it, but
Wonder if Boeing,
trying to tell the British public
I wonder if Boeing
not a sprint,
sold off. No, it went higher. That's insane. Truly insane.
So people have to be vaccinated once and then twice. And another challenge is just to make sure that everybody comes back for that second dose now.
Peter, thank you. And before we get to that vaccine, we need to address the crisis at hand.
NVAX is probably going to go higher. It's just still too high for me. So we're looking right now at as this thing starts to sell off just a little bit more. I'm liking. I want to see. So right now we're at support as it's having a hard time breaking this level right here right now.
Virus rages on.
First of all, Stephanie, welcome back. It's great to see you. Look, I think it's important to have that vaccine out there to make people understand that they're not going to have to practice aggressive social distancing in perpetuity. This is time limited.
So far we're sitting on 3 minutes of oversold. Let's see if it'll turn. I'm gonna go ahead and take a starter.
That the deaths from COVID-19 are due to other causes.
Neo is flying.
So we have to send a clear message to the American people. Look, don't lose your life over the next few weeks. I mean, the numbers are just horrible. We're looking at potentially 400,000 or 500,000 Americans who will lose their life a week or so after the inauguration. When all we need to do is get them to the other side, get them vaccinated, and they'll live a normal lifespan. And that's been a really tough message, especially in the middle part of the country. A lot of them red states, especially, that still think that this is not real.
So we're currently at a strong level of support right there.
Right? Think about things like rapid testing. Do we need to do more to get tests in the hands of the American people? I have 3 kids right now who have absolutely no symptoms, and all 3 of them have COVID-19. If I didn't work at a company that mailed me tests and they could take them, I might have said, oh, I don't want to go take them in a car and potentially put them around
NVAX is flying.
to get those test results. Or maybe I couldn't afford to go do that.
$2 already.
We need to do more to give people the information to protect themselves, like actual tests and the results in a timely fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, Stephanie, we've never had a national response to COVID-19. It's been left to the individual.
All right, so we have a strong level of support. Will it bounce from here? All right, so I'm in at 314.35. I'm gonna see. So 14.33.
To get 95% mask compliance, we absolutely have to have that. That can determine whether we're at 400,000 to 500,000 deaths by the week after.
14.33. So I want to see if this moves up $1 for me. Hopefully, if it goes down, maybe about $1.50 or so more. But
and that's already happening in the Midwest, especially the northern Midwest and here in West Texas. We have to prevent those surges. And third, as you say, it's still hard to get a test in many parts of the country. The bar is too high to get easy access to testing, and we still haven't fixed that even almost a year into this epidemic. So it's all 3. We can do it, and we have to do it, because if we get to 500,000 Americans who lose their lives a week after the inauguration, I don't know what country we're going to have at that point. It's going to be so chaotic and really, and we're so profoundly tragic.
Do we have a deep enough understanding of what the symptoms are and what to do when you have them? I mean, even somebody with mild or no symptoms can be a super spreader.
That's right. So one of the unique aspects of this virus is, unlike the previous SARS that caused the epidemic in 2003, there's a lot of virus in your upper airway, in your mouth and nose, and as you speak, especially if you speak loudly or cough, you're releasing a huge amount of virus into the atmosphere.
So I'm going to try and sell this for a $2 gain.
Up on microdroplets. So this is why we need masks.
Let's see if it if it can fly for us just a little bit.
Stephanie, that there's so much virus transmission going on in this country that anybody you walk past, whether it's outside or inside,
Boeing just flew high. NVAX is flying high as well.
And so you have to remember that, and why we need people to wear masks to both reduce virus shedding and to prevent yourself from acquiring the virus. and maximize social distancing, especially if you're in one of the risk factors, or if you live with somebody who has one of the risk factors, because there's a good possibility you can bring it home.
When the president got COVID, he got experimental drugs and the best care possible. Now his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is being treated in a hospital with what's been reported as just mild symptoms. What is this?
Oh, and back starting to sell off.
In terms of care? How should the thousands
Boeing just keeps going higher, man. That's insane.
Hospital beds take this.
Yeah, no, it's so profoundly upsetting, and we have this huge problem with health equity around COVID-19.
Neo looks like it's going to start to turn. Although, it did go up $1 from when it opened. So, it is looking nice. So, it's having a hard time breaking this level of support. So that indicates to me that since it already tried to go up and it's having a hard time breaking that level of resistance, this could possibly go down a little bit more before it climbs up. So knowing that Twilio does this often, I might hold on to this for a little more than a day in case it doesn't reach my level. So I'm going for a $2 gain on this one, knowing that it can move on average a little more than that. Boeing is insane, man. Oh my God, this thing is just blowing up.
It's not new to COVID, right? This has been going on for years and years, and so this is, hopefully with the new Biden administration and new Secretary of Health and Human Services, this is why we need somebody like the former congressman who can really take a step back and look at this and say, how do we end this awful health inequality?
NVAX was just too high for me at the open. Neo also was too high. Boeing, all three of these stocks were too high for me. Although NVAX was probably the closest one that I would have traded if Twilio wasn't already low.
100%. Maybe that's why David Perdue didn't think he needed to show up for a debate. We're going to tell you the key factors that could change this race right now.
So the market was green pre-market, and the NASDAQ is green right now. The NASDAQ is an EV, mostly EV on EV tech stocks. So if that's up, then this being considered a tech stock, this should go up for us. NVAX going back up. NVAX is already at overbought by a lot.
Attention! Do you have Medicare? Did you know that you may qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to
Yesterday, look what this did yesterday. It already surpassed this level right here, 314. Went from 314 to 323 after already selling off for a few days. And then on Friday, on Thursday, they did the same thing. They flew up almost $10. So this thing can very well easily go up $10. I'm just grabbing a short little mini base hit of a $2 gain. As you can see, I got 2 shares of this as we're doing the small count challenge. So today we started with $800 allowed for us to use for today. Hopefully, if I'm going to hold on to this a little bit longer than I want to, because it hasn't reached my level, knowing that Twilio does have a tendency of flying high, I'll hold on to it and I will up my sell trigger. But we'll see what happens.
It's time to make a stand. Start a new day with Trilogy. No once daily COPD medicine has the power to treat COPD.
So I got in.
This is Trilogy. With 3 medicines in 1 inhaler, Trilogy helps people breathe easier and improves lung function. It also helps prevent
About right here. I'm gonna go ahead and
rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Tell your doctor if you have
of a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may
I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this pink.
Your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
So that's where I got in, that dotted line right there.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and save at Trelegy.com.
So there are a few things that played in my way to factoring to get into this. One, there is a strong level of support right here. Two, it's already at oversold on our deviation lines. Three, our pink line was underneath it and it was bound to cross up, which it currently did, and then we were up, but it didn't reach my level that I wanted to sell at. So we'll see if it reaches that today for a $2 gain. If it starts to climb down just a little bit for me, as long as it doesn't reach my max of what I'm willing to lose per trade, I will hold on to this for a little bit longer. Because if we take a look at the 5-day chart, let me go ahead and show this to you real quick.
Go to freshly.com today.
So as you can see, the 5-day chart. So it did sell off, and then it ran up. But we can see that once it reaches this level as of late, right here, it breaks it. It broke it here. It broke it right here. It broke it over here, and then we're currently at that level right now. So maybe it'll do the same thing for us. Hopefully.
And the winners will decide which party controls the U.S. Senate. Today's deadline comes after a big debate last night, where one Republican refused to give a straight answer on President Trump's claims of election fraud, and the other Republican refused to even show up. I want to go live to Shaquille Brewster in Georgia for the latest. Shaq, talk to us about the importance of today's deadline.
I'm not worried if it starts to climb down a little bit. This does this often, so.
By the end of the day, and that's why you'll see John Ossoff on the heels of his debate performance last night. I call it a debate. It was more of a discussion with the moderator because his opponent, Senator Perdue, did not show up to that event. But on the heels of that performance, he will be joined today by former Secretary Julian Castro for a voter mobilization event targeting the Latino community here in the state of Georgia. But I've been talking to groups all morning, Steph, and they are really pounding the pavement, trying to register any voter that they can. We're talking about at grocery stores, at train stations, even at high schools. One group pointed out to me that more than 23,000 people were 17 on election day, but will be eligible to vote by the January 5th runoff. Every vote matters here.
Kodak was in the mix again, huh? Insane. I used to trade Kodak.
I want to thank you and bring in our next guest because she is one of those people fighting for that right now in the state of Georgia. Nsé Ufot. She's the CEO of the New Georgia Project, a group founded by Stacey Abrams to register new voters. Nsé, I know how busy you are, so thank you for your time. What is your game plan today, final day of registration?
Today is an all-out push, right? So Shaquille mentioned that there are 23,000 Georgians that are turning 18 before the January 5th runoffs. There are tens of thousands of Georgians who moved into the state and didn't have the October cutoff for the November general election. There are formerly incarcerated people who need to be educated about having their rights restored and the right to vote. And so anyone who's under the sound of our voice who is eligible to vote in Georgia should know that the end of business today is the voter registration deadline, and we are on a 30-day sprint to make history.
Well, I cannot vote in Georgia, but I will tell you I am
Yeah, that's nice.
Today. Let's talk money, because Republicans there have outraised Democrats by 400% in this election. How big of a disadvantage does that pose?
Yeah, I like NVAX now. Well, still a little too high, but I do like the fact that it sold off pretty hard after that massive run. I mean, this thing went up almost $5. So I don't think
when we're
I
talking
don't think it's gonna go. I mean, it might go down just a little bit more, but not by much. I do think this will fly around $5 today alone. So from where I bought in to where it's at right now, it's about $2 and change loss. So I still feel comfortable at my price point today to sell where it's at, knowing that I can easily climb back up to that, no problem.
What about beyond money and support? Support you could need.
Well, you know, for 2 days straight, this thing flew. So from 322 at the open to 333, that's $10. And then on Friday from 314 to 322. You know, that's what, $5-6? What's it, $6? 314. Yeah, my $9.
We are talking to Georgians about the Georgia that they want to build, the communities that they want to live in, raise their children in, educate their children in. And so, yes, I think that the grassroots work is absolutely critical and essential to, you know, this new battleground state that we now find ourselves living in.
All right, I know you've got a very busy day ahead, so we're going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much. Take care.
So XPEV must be selling off pretty hard, unless people are not worried about that. No, people are not, as it flies high. They're going to get caught in that. That's no good.
Only pay for what you need. Liberty, 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 liberty.
Attention, today is the final day of the Medicare open enrollment period.
I have Medicare.
I have Medicare too. The Medicare and prescription drug plan annual enrollment period is ending today. Call
Yeah, I like Zoom.
Medicare benefits review. Don't miss the deadline. Are you wondering how the COVID-19 pandemic may impact your Medicare plan? To ensure your safety, new and expanded benefits.
Yeah, and Vax is going to climb up again.
Meal delivery, free prescription drug delivery, at-home telehealth, and much more. Call the number on your screen now to see if you qualify. And you may also qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month. Just call 800-296-2159.
Wow, that's insane.
Get a free Medicare benefits
And yeah, Zoom, did you get Zoom there? I liked 411.
vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage.
What additional benefits can I get with a Medicare Advantage plan?
Nice. $4 jump.
Free eyeglasses, free hearing aids,
That's
free
very nice.
free prescription drug delivery, and much more. You may also qualify for a plan with $0 premiums, $0 deductibles, and no copays. Call now. Today is the final day of open enrollment. Just call 800-296-2159 now to see if you qualify.
How can I make sure that I'm getting the benefits that I deserve?
Salesforce.
Takes one fast and easy phone call. Just call the toll-free number on your
Yeah, I still like this. I mean, it's selling off right now, so I like the fact that it's selling off. I would still hold this for a couple of days, knowing that, you know, from where it came from, and nothing but good news on it as of right now. So
Call now. Open enrollment ends today.
I want these new benefits. I'm calling right now.
There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-296-2159 now. That's 800-296-2159.
Okay, so I did the shit mouth. I thought I was managing my moderate to severe Crohn's disease until I realized something was missing. Me. You okay, Space? My symptoms were keeping me from really being there for my sisters. So I talked to my doctor and learned Humira is for people who still have symptoms of Crohn's disease after trying other medications. The majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief in as little as 4 weeks and may achieve remission that can last.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you had an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
Sleep soundly tonight from the brand that more families trust for quality.
Yes, he
protection.
I don't think it's gonna go way down. I mean, it can. All stocks can. They can go further down, but I'm not sure if it's gonna go that farther down. I mean, at most maybe 309, 309 and change, maybe.
And I realized that doing the right thing isn't enough. Our federal government isn't giving the incentive or the punitive consequences to influence the decisions we're making every day. Virtually no financial support for those.
So, you know, we know that Twiddle does this often. It does these waves. You can see here, it took this massive hit and then flew up. We already got it at a cheap rate. It's gotten cheaper, but it can very well go back up $9 as it does, surpassing, even with this low at 310, say it goes to 39, I can go, what, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Go to 18, 19, 319. Easy.
At the very moment. You know, millions of people like me, we get the virus and we don't actually need hospital care. And there is nothing forcing us to quarantine and protect our community. We keep urging people to get tested, but results take days. We're told just to isolate, but how do we do that? In other parts of the world, a positive COVID
Boeing, man, this is insane. This thing just keeps going up. I'm telling you. I mean, it's looking good in my long-term account. I'm not gonna lie.
Then there is spreading the virus even more, maybe killing my extended family. It started with my husband the day before Thanksgiving. He woke up not feeling that great.
Neo also impressive. I mean, it's gonna go down. It's way too high.
Any other day, I don't think we would have gotten him tested. But to be safe, we did. And he tested positive. So we all immediately isolated. My husband on his own, me on my own, and my 3 kids basically taking care of themselves, relying on friends and neighbors to drop off food at our door. I tested positive 2 days later. Had we not tested, our family would have potentially exposed our colleagues, our neighbors, our kids' schools. We were 1 day away from unknowingly, potentially, being super spreaders. We are so lucky that we got tested so quickly. We are so lucky to be privileged. But betting on luck is a failed national strategy. I've had all sorts of strange symptoms, different ones every single day. But the worst was the fear and anxiety of what each day was to bring and who I may have infected. Fears that for me were all manageable because I'm very lucky to have great doctors who are answering my calls. And because I was able
I knew the Dow was gonna go down.
And focus on my health for nearly 2 weeks. That is not a normal circumstance for most Americans.
Alright, so let's talk. I'm gonna hold on to this for a little bit longer. I could have sold it for $1 and change gain, but now when I have 2 shares, so as it reached 315.94, so almost $1 and change, but
she took her kids out of school. She stopped going to work, and in turn,
we'll see. I mean, so this drop happened at 7:33, and then it reclaimed a bunch of that by 8:27 and by 9:33, and then the previous day the exact same thing, it took like an hour to get to where it was gonna go eventually. Even on Wednesday, if we take a look at it real quick. So after it's dropped,
and by the way, those temperature takers, gyms and restaurants,
it reclaimed
following the protocols. But had anyone taken my temperature,
$14
they'd have let us in.
in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Because they can't afford not to.
So not worried at all. It's one of the best things about trading large cap stocks is they do have
The CDC changed its guidelines from 14
historical price action. So and then these stocks, they're good companies. There's no news saying that it's going to keep going down. If it does, there's nothing saying it's going to go way up. If it does, there was no news on any of these days of when it sold off and then when it went high. It just does that. It's a volatile stock. I mean, if we take a look at the daily, 341, it's way beneath that right now of the high that it had 2 months ago. So, and we already had a dip already. So I'm thinking this is gonna go up to $10 today. If it does that, then if I'm watching it by then, but I'm out of here in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna leave my trigger where it's at. We just need this to break this green line here. Once it breaks this green line here, then we can see this start to stair step up. As it does, it takes a little minute for that to happen.
The only way we can get through this is to have a system that works for everyone. And after having COVID, I know now more than ever, we absolutely do not. We've got to change that. You can read more about my experience on NBCnews.com/think. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my friend Chris Jansing for holding down the fort and leading this hour for the last couple of weeks. That wraps up this hour. I'm Stephanie.
There was an interest in, there's a 3.2 short interest days to cover for Twilio, but the interest in shorting it decreased by 4%. So maybe this is just weeding out some short sellers. It's probably what it's doing. I mean, the bears are already winning this battle right now, as we see that this is the new level of support. How farther down will it go from there? Will it go to 305 being the low? When was that? A couple days ago, actually. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you had a vaccine or plan to.
Tremfya. Uncover clear skin that can last. Janssen can help you explore cost support options.
I felt like I was just fighting an uphill battle in my career.
So when I heard about the applied digital skills courses, I'm thinking I can become more marketable.
You don't need to be a computer expert to be great at this. These are skills lots of people can learn.
I feel hopeful about the future now.
The following is a car warranty alert. If you're driving without an auto warranty or it's close to expiring, you could be at risk of expensive auto repairs that could cost you thousands. CarShield could qualify you for an auto protection plan that could save you from expensive auto repair bills. Choose the plan from CarShield that's right for you.
Yeah, Neo and Boeing they're gonna come down.
No more worrying.
A little hard, I think. They're just way too high. I wouldn't have jumped in either one.
Plus, you can pick
not in the beginning.
certified mechanic or dealership to fix your car. You also receive roadside assistance, rental car coverage, and hotel reimbursement while traveling. Breakdowns happen, but you don't have to get stuck with expensive repair bills. Don't put yourself or your wallet at risk. CarShield cars go farther. Call CarShield now for your free instant quote.
Call 800-231-3501. 800-231-3501.
Being a patient with diabetes myself, I can say without question that the Dexcom system is the most powerful tool to help navigate diabetes better on a daily basis.
I love it. I just wear a little sensor and that's it. It's totally painless and private.
The Dexcom sends my glucose readings to my receiver every 5 minutes. I just pull it out of my pocket and look, and I don't have to prick my finger.
Dexcom puts you in control, not your diabetes.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors for under $20. And now, enter this exclusive TV coupon at checkout to save on
Yeah, no, I'm not worried at all. I mean, look, this is almost $2 up from this low. I mean, this thing moves insane. I still believe I'm in reach of reaching what I want to sell today. And if it doesn't, I don't know. I don't think it's going to go any lower.
Stay-at-home orders this morning, including
But
almost all of California under some form of shutdown, with medical experts coast to coast.
again, we will see.
Hospitals are nearly at a breaking point, a new record high for hospitalizations. But the help the world's waiting for looks like it's just around the corner for some people. We're heading to London for the latest on those first vaccinations about to begin, as Surgeon General Jerome Adams puts it into perspective.
We need you to hang on just a little bit longer because we've got vaccines coming, but we want as many people to be alive to get them as possible.
We are now learning who the next president wants to help lead the way out of the pandemic. The California Attorney General, Javier Becerra, picked as the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. The pandemic top of mind for the transition and for the White House, where the president's top personal attorney has tested positive for COVID. I'm told by a source close to Rudy Giuliani he is in the hospital here in the D.C. area this morning. The Trump campaign pledging its legal fight, which is failing, will go on with another setback today. That scathing new response from Georgia's Republican governor about pressure for state lawmakers to overturn election results.
Right, so, very good. So, it seems like that's the level of resistance that it's having a hard time to break. But it's been breaking support and resistance all morning. So, it breaks that level, then it needs to break this level, then it needs to break this level, and then go up. So, it has quite a ways to go. I do think it's going to go past my sell price today, eventually. We're still in range of it, being that this can move anywhere from $3 to $15. It might be one of those days. It's already done it 3 days in a row. It went up $9. So.
About 24% in the northernmost portion of the state. Here in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I am, 5 counties have decided to go ahead and voluntarily self-impose a shutdown in order to get out in front of this. Now, some places like San Francisco say they have the capacity for a surge if it comes, but in other counties like Sonoma, we're down below 5%. This is just a matter of trying to get out.
No, so depending how much money I'm using to trade with, is depending how much money I'm willing to lose. So my trigger on this would be about $25 down. Knowing that these stocks, move in huge waves like that, needed some time to go. That's what I've been doing, and as of late, I have not gone red, except for those 2 days back in November. But one of those was a Momo stock, which is something I shouldn't have done, but I just wanted to jump in on it. And another one was a 2-day hold. I did sell it. I sold it for a loss of $1. But it ended up going higher, about $20 higher after that. So, you live and you learn a few things. So knowing that Twilio does this often, there's nothing saying that this is going to keep going down. There's just unusual options activity. The short interest on this has decreased. It's like 2 days left to cover from what the short squeeze website says.
administration. Then you have
So,
Treasury, somebody who's held just about every major position in the Treasury Department in the financial sector that you could have. Javier Becerra, though, not somebody who served in the HHS department before, not somebody who's seen as a particular health wonk per se. But here's what the Biden team is saying about this selection. First of all, it's his previous job and his current job that brings a specific set of skills to this. One in Congress over 12.
So I'm going to be leaving
Was passed. He was part of congressional leadership there. He brings those relationships
in about
so important in the federal
20 minutes, 24 minutes.
He was one of the chief defenders of the Affordable Care Act.
I go for my jog. So we might hold on to this a little bit longer, as we see that that's the level of resistance that it's having a hard time breaking. The top of these two candles right here, wicks right here. You still have room for this to go up. It's not that far down from where I bought it at.
And this, as we also expect Biden to meet this week with civil rights groups who want to see African Americans in some of those big cabinet positions as well, Hallie.
Amon, the pandemic is also affecting the White House in a pretty significant way with the president's top personal attorney, right? Not at the White House, but the person who's been running his legal fight for Giuliani testing positive. Amon, we have seen Giuliani for, I think, the last several days, or at least last week, we saw him traveling to different states, appearing frequently without a mask. What's the latest here?
Exactly, Hallie. He has been hospitalized at a Georgetown University hospital over the weekend. We're told he's experiencing mild symptoms, but he issued a tweet overnight saying he's receiving great care and feeling great. His son, Andrew Giuliani, who had also contracted coronavirus a few weeks ago, says his father is also doing well and resting comfortably. Rudy Giuliani is the 53rd person in the president's orbit. This includes White House aides, campaign officials, outside advisors, to test positive for COVID just since October 1st, which is back when the president and the first lady were diagnosed with the coronavirus. It just shows you how many of the dozens of people who interact with the president and work on his behalf have been exposed to and contracted this virus. You mentioned Giuliani had been traveling extensively. He had been in 3 battleground states, rarely if ever wearing a mask, and also in indoor gatherings and events where he was also asking others to remove their mask if they felt comfortable. So there are questions now about how he's doing, what kind of treatment he's receiving. The former New York City mayor is 76 years old. It's possible he might be getting something similar to what the president had when he was at Walter Reed, which would be an antibody cocktail. Of course, Regeneron has been FDA approved by now, so we are checking to see if that's something he might be getting. But yes, Hallie, it's just the latest example where for the last 8 weeks and beyond, we have seemed to learn a new person close to the president who has contracted the coronavirus. Rudy Giuliani is just the latest in a string of them.
You also have this focus from the Trump administration, from the incoming Biden administration on a vaccine, right? Because that is what everybody's looking for. And Richard, where you are out in London, those first vaccines are arriving. It is a milestone moment, but you know, it doesn't come without some questions as to how it actually gets put into action, how it actually gets distributed the most.
No, I'm not worried at all, man. This thing does this often, so if I would have gotten about 5 shares of this, I would have sold it right there. Seeing I had a second opportunity to reach that level, because it reached it once and then the second time as it opened here and it flew up, I would have sold it right there. So knowing that with this wick before the end of this candle, I would have put a sell trigger right there. But because I only have 2 shares of this stock, I want it to go up more than $1 and change, at least $2, knowing the stock can do that. So I think this is going to end up going higher. You know, it does that often. It does this massive sell-off, then recoups more than what it opened at. So it does have it can do that. It's done it many times before. So I'm not worried.
Storage facilities that the Pfizer vaccine requires. The rollout begins early tomorrow morning. There is a patient alpha that has been chosen. That patient will be the center of attention here tomorrow, but there are questions in this country and around the world. Are these vaccines safe? There are people.
So it looks like we're right on track. You see the zoomed out chart over here for this thing to start climbing up. As we see that it did that right here at 7:32. So, and then it started climbing up pretty hard. It did that the previous day as well, and the previous day from there. So it dropped hard. On Thursday, this thing blew up, dropped pretty hard, and then from 322 went all the way to 327 after a massive drop. But the day before, it dropped massively around 6:40, 6:50, almost 7 o'clock from 301, and then it took almost a day to go up to 320. But before that, it did reach the 315 mark, going up $14. So, but that took most of the day.
Plus, a year-long investigation into the mysterious illnesses affecting dozens of U.S. diplomats and CIA officers.
I don't know. Today will be a $14 mover after its sell-off. It could very well continue to go down just a little bit more, and then climb up. So I will say this: if by 9 o'clock this thing is not where I want it to be, I will hold on to this for a little bit longer, seeing that it's still a ways to go from my exit strategy of what I'm willing to lose per trade.
$144 added back to your Social Security check every month. It's easy to see if you're eligible. Just call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-985-9143. In addition to receiving $144 every month, you might also qualify for a $0 Medicare Advantage plan that includes the following benefits: dental, including fillings, exams, and dentures; vision, including exams, frames, lenses, and even contacts; hearing, including hearing aids and batteries; and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center is open now at 800-985-9143. Both the call and the consultation are 100% free.
Neo just keeps going higher and higher. That's insane.
The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center now at 800-985-9143.
So the NASDAQ is up right now, which is pretty cool. The rest of the market is down. The S&P is starting to reclaim some of what it's already lost. The Dow is still currently in the same area of when it dropped. Let's try trading sideways. Looks like, yeah, it did recover quite a lot, and then it dropped that much as well. It's insane how much this thing moves. This thing moves like $300-400 like nothing.
Medicare annual enrollment begins December 7th. Call today to learn more and visit a $10 Visa reward card with no obligation to enroll.
Spectrum Mobile delivers the fastest overall speeds with the most reliable mobile service. Coast?
No, well, I mean, right now, this looks like it's the support, but it's been breaking support and resistance on the way down and on the way up. So
Switch to Spectrum Mobile for the latest 5G
we'll see what happens.
and see why Spectrum is the fastest growing mobile provider in the base. Call to live your business Spectrum.
So one of the things about trading large cap stocks is you find the right ones that can move well in a trading session. Even after a massive drop, it can go up and reclaim half that. That's number one, the amount of dollars they move per session. Two, these are strong companies, at least the ones that I have in my watch list. I mean, you have Netflix, Nvidia, Roku, Zoom, Adobe, Tesla, Shop. Now, some of these stocks are e-commerce stocks, so when the vaccine starts being distributed out, these stocks might tumble a little bit, and I'm ready for that, because you got to have other stocks, diversify. So, but the thing is that these stocks right now, they're still in good play. They can definitely go up. if they've gone down. So, they do that often. They'll start to sell off a little bit and then go back up. Stocks can't go up forever, nor can they go down forever unless there's, they're going bankrupt and something out there is saying that they're, something will happen with the company. But there's nothing bad going on. Then it does this. Hold on to it for 2 days. It becomes a swing trade. They always go back to where they came from. Being that this also has ways to go from where it was at, from its high for the year. And it is definitely a good stock to trade. Twilio is, and many other stocks that I have on my watch list. As I can see here, Baba went down $3. Netflix went up $12. Shop is down $3 or up $7. W is up or down $3. Tesla's up $22. That's insane.
Massive strain on the medical systems here in Alabama as they call this a crisis, but it's far from over. And what they're most
Moderna flying high.
where these numbers will trend in coming weeks. They say what we're seeing right now in terms of this surge is a direct result from Thanksgiving gatherings. As they predicted, they thought these numbers would jump up after the Thanksgiving holidays, and just in the nick of time, as they said they would, these numbers are surging. Their big concern is that we're going right into the Christmas holiday, and between Christmas and New Year's, there will be another surge. So what kind of impact will that have on hospitals? Will it overwhelm them in terms of bed capacity, in terms of shortages of medication, and most importantly, in terms of staff? The staff here has been dealing with this pandemic for months. They are, in fact, worried about exhaustion and burnout rates among people that have been treating COVID patients and are now seeing...
BA starting to sell off.
We're expecting perhaps to hopefully see these numbers...
Currently at support. So, if this thing's going to continue to go, I'll wait for my lines to come into play at that point, because right now it seems it's breaking support of where it bounced off of.
Since the pandemic began. Here's what one doctor had to say they're keeping an eye on.
I just feel like it's a tidal wave of patients who are arriving at the hospital. Our emergency departments are becoming more and more full with people who have COVID symptoms, who have COVID cases.
Nice.
Our hospital beds,
very nice.
More units are being dedicated to COVID care.
You have Twilio too, huh?
Is that they are expecting in coming weeks to see the release of the vaccine. They say the part about that can be tricky is that not everyone in the hospital...
I'm going to sell mine at $316. 34 gives me
Right, because they're feeling the impacts of that. Katie, there, when we hear the sirens in the background, it really does emphasize the reality of the situation where you are. In Worcester, Massachusetts, Kathy, where you are, they've reopened a field hospital. Talk about why they needed to even take that step in the first place here as we head into the winter.
Yeah, it gives me a $2 gain.
Similar to what we're seeing across the country, hospitalizations are on the rise here locally in Worcester as well as statewide at 2 to 3% daily rate. And when you look at the numbers here locally, 1 in 5 residents are testing positive for the coronavirus. And when you
yes, I mean I normally lower the trigger, but normally I have a little bit more shares than what I currently have right now. And I think the trigger is still well in play. I think that it can definitely reach that. It's definitely surpassed that. I mean, this thing can move, $15-20 in a session after a massive loss. So right now, Twilio is down almost $10 for the day. I bought that halfway through, so it could definitely go up half that. So I'd say about $5-6 from where it's at right now. So I'm definitely in my range of getting my money. If I don't get it today, then I'll get it tomorrow or the day after. Being it's a conservative sell trigger, it's only a $2 gain. and knowing this thing can move past that. I do believe that this is going to go higher. Now, if you're asking that because you want to put your sell trigger higher, depends. As we can see right now, it's selling off. It wants to break through, and it looks like it might break through, but how far it's going to go up, I don't know. I know that it could definitely go up $6. That's for sure.
How we get out of this, right? It's with a vaccine, and the timeline specifically that's been put in place. The rollout we heard from Richard Engel just a moment ago in the UK, the upcoming hopeful rollout in the US. Here's the timeline as laid out by some of the leaders right now with the task force members, Operation Warp Speed. Thursday, we know this week, the FDA is meeting to consider that emergency use authorization for Pfizer. With quote unquote within days of that meeting, you have the HHS secretary.
Yeah, I mean, this is well. It looks like Boeing finally bounced off support. Now it's resistance, and Neo. That's an impressive move. 42.50 all the way to 45.53. $3 right there. Truly insane.
Is it maybe too conservative?
It's just opened up too high for me to be interested in it.
I think that timeline is pretty realistic. And again, depending a little bit on how well things go operationally, how good a job we do in communicating with people, I think we could even do a little bit better than that. In my own mind, I think we're going to start seeing the first set of people getting vaccinated this month.
Right. So right now it's at resistance.
And I would not be surprised if.
So let's see. This will be like the 8th attempt. So if it can break through that, then we definitely have about another minute or two of climbing, and then maybe sells off just a little bit, and then starts to go up, doing higher highs and higher lows.
Again, there are a couple of things that are going on here, right? So we're right now mostly thinking about the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. I'm hoping, and this is a hope.
So it opened above it. Let's see if it can maintain that momentum that it's currently on.
Both of which are cooking along and getting studied, become available sometime in January or February. And if that happens, it substantially expands our.
Well, another reason I like large cap stocks is that the float being the amount of shares available for traders like you and I to trade, are high. So flushes definitely, not that they can't happen, they can't, but flushes on a candle, one candle going down hard, is unlikely to happen. So, and you can go back on these. They live around the same price range. You know, they fluctuate between a certain price range when they go down and when they go up. So with Momo stocks, you know, their price range was maybe $1.50, maybe $2, and then they're gapping up for whatever reason, you know, $4 or $5. And, you know, the float is so low that it could flush down immediately. So to trade Momo stocks, one, you definitely need a good strategy, and you definitely need a faster trading platform. Thinkorswim, I love it. It's not built for Momo trading.
And so Dr. Walensky is going to have a very large role in making sure the vaccines get out quickly and equitably.
So I think this will reach the yellow support line or the orange support line, or this being the level of resistance that it needs to break in order for it to continue its run, and then maybe come back down to support, and then maybe go back up, creating higher highs and higher lows. So that's currently what we're looking at right now. As we can see, it did trade lower than yesterday, and it's starting to reclaim half of what it lost. So now only being down $7 from the high or from the open, we're looking to see if it can break that next level of resistance, which it was at for a minute before it climbing down. So we're currently close to that level now. So maybe we'll see some consolidation for the next couple of minutes before this starts to go up. Being that we're not that far away from where I entered, and then from that point not being too far away from where I want to sell.
Things get very, very dark.
I do think that after that massive drop, that it does have the potential to climb higher. It does it often, and I'm not trying to take a home run hit. I'm trying to take a base hit. So I think maybe we'll see some consolidation around this area here, as it's using the level of resistance as support now, but it might drop down to this support line right here, and then maybe continue to climb. How far up will it go? I don't know. I'm going to go with the $2 hit. With the $2 run going up for what do we call that? $4 maybe? I could go higher. I mean, I might hold on to this for an extra day. Fact being that I know I can go higher. I'll leave my trigger where it's at, see if it reaches that, and then how far up it went after that, if it goes up for me.
Potentially false hope to Cleveland Browns fans everywhere with this closing prediction. Listen.
And we got to mention this one. The Cleveland Browns, they pulled the upset against Tennessee. It's not quite 100%, but they are 97% away to the first one in 18 years.
I do actually think it's helpful to keep a sort of wide frame of understanding in terms of how all these things fit together, because these crises are not unrelated, and they interlock in ways that are at times mutually destructive.
Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way...
What did that say?
Learn how homeowners are strategically using a reverse mortgage loan to cover expenses, pay for health care, preserve your portfolio, and so much more.
A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference is how you pay it back.
Find out how reverse mortgages really work with AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage guide.
With a reverse mortgage, you can pay.
Okay, looks like the S&P is starting to climb up. The NASDAQ is up 0.45%.
Discover the option that's best for you. Call today and find out more.
I'm proud.
We'll see if we're doing higher highs and higher lows.
I trust them.
Maybe you can bounce off of this real quick and continue to slide up for us.
When I was laid off, it was absolutely terrifying.
No, I don't. I mean, I would have liked to have been in NEO when this thing started to climb, but one, it was too high for me. Yeah, everything said to get in. The yellow line is underneath it. It was already underneath support. You could have sold it at resistance for a conservative hit, and then continue to ride that if you wanted to for literally just $1. But that would have been. It still wouldn't have been bad, knowing that this thing can move more than that. But on average, about 50 cents to $1 is what normally it can do. Oh, normally what it does. So I see that we're having Boeing is currently bouncing off of support and making its way back up. So from 239 to 242, maybe you can get to that point. I don't think it's going to drop any more than this.
Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance. And chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy, a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison check highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-709-0511 or go to selectquote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors for under $20. And now, enter this exclusive TV coupon code at checkout to save up to 40%. That's readers.com.
Meet Glowforge, the 3D laser printer. Personalize things for yourself or gift your creations to others.
CRM is primed to get into right now after that sell-off. Definitely.
So here we are on this Monday morning, not long after sources told my colleagues in May that President Trump had not ruled out firing his attorney general. Now, the New York Times is reporting Bill Barr is weighing whether to leave on his own, citing 3 people familiar with his thinking. The paper says Barr is considering stepping down before the president's term ends next month, with one saying he might announce his departure maybe before the end of the year. I want to bring in NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who is joining us. Pete, what are you hearing from your sources from inside the DOJ on this?
Very much considering the same thing. Bill Barr told me in October that if the president was reelected, he would likely want to stay around for at least a couple of years into his new term because there were still things that he wanted to do.
So it's trading that support. It's what it's doing, or resistance. Right, well, that was being the level of support and resistance, and this being the new level of support. So we'll see if it can surpass that current level of support, so resistance, which is right here. If they can bounce off that, then we're in good standings for it reaching the level of what I wanted it to go to today, which I do think, knowing that this has the capability of doing that, it does that often. I mean, it drops 15, 20 bucks. It reclaims a lot of that. So this actually be one of the stocks that will drop massively from when it opened and then go up higher from when it opened. I mean, if we see here, so we have 314 to 323. You know, I mean, you know, that's what, that's $9 run right there. So we're still in range to get to where I want to get to.
Also told that he's been thinking about doing this before those comments were made.
Got it. Pete Williams live for us there in our Washington newsroom.
So if we can just continue to break all these support and resistance lines that it's been doing on the way down and on the way up, I think we're in line to get where we want to get.
The state's governor is again rejecting President Trump's demand that he call a special session of the state legislature to try and flip the results. And just within the last hour, Georgia's Secretary of State, who is also a Republican, is announcing today he's going to recertify the election results for Joe Biden.
We have now counted legally cast ballots 3 times, and the results remain unchanged. All this talk of a stolen election, whether it's Stacey Abrams or the President of the United States, is hurting our state.
NBC's Shaq Brewster is in Atlanta for us. Also with us, a panelist at one of last night's Georgia Senate debates, Greg Bluestein, political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So, Shaq, you have the president now facing more pushback from his own party there in Georgia, with, frankly, these Republican officials mincing no words. One of them saying, hell, I voted for the guy, but this disinformation from the president has to stop.
CRM is nice. It's consolidating right now. So I had 2 massive drops and reclaimed some of that. So I do think that it's going to continue to go.
Went through and debunked a surveillance video from State Farm Arena that we've been seeing out there. Really, Hallie, this is an extension of what you've been hearing from these Republicans in the state who have pushed back since President Trump's visit to the state to campaign with Republican runoff candidates, where President Trump said that he won the state of Georgia. He said that the election was rigged, said that there were ballots coming from ceilings.
Okay, so now it's at the current level of resistance that it was at as it climbs to break it.
There is no scenario that I can see that it's helpful.
And we're starting to get to where I got at. So right now, this is the current level of resistance right here. So we'll see if it can, well, this is the current level of resistance right here. But let's see if it can end up closing close to this for that to be the resistance that we need for it to pass.
Secretary Julian Castro today. Big voter registration. Of course, today is the deadline for voter registration for any voter who wants to participate in that January 5th runoff. Hallie?
Shaq Brewster live there just in time for the sound check at that event today there in Georgia. Shaq, thank you. Greg, let me turn to you because you have these runoff races in Georgia. There is so much attention on what's going to happen here. Questions, I know, within Republican circles about whether the president's claims, his baseless claims of the election being stolen, which didn't happen, could actually depress turnout. And on the debate stage, we saw overnight with these candidates themselves, we had two very different scenes. Democratic candidate Jon Ossoff on stage with an empty lectern after Republican incumbent David Perdue declined to appear. The candidates in the other race did come face to face. GOP Senator Kelly.
So this is
Here's what she had to say.
So this is resistance right now, basically where it bought at. That's resistance. We can pass that, then we're golden. This thing pops $2-3 like nothing, like popcorn. Put it in the microwave, boom, and then we're literally $3 away from what I want to sell at. Literally $3 away, exactly $3 away. So it can definitely do that like that.
That's not a glitch. That is just repeatedly Senator Loeffler declining to answer that question. Greg, you were there. I watched you on C-SPAN last night from here in Washington. What is this?
If it goes down, I think maybe it'll go as far as down as this dotted line here, 312.92, and then bounce back from that.
Because they don't want to dampen enthusiasm for the vote. On the other hand, they can't risk antagonizing President Trump by going against him, because we're seeing what that looks like right now with President Trump attacking both Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan and Governor Brian Kemp for not heeding his demands to call a legal special session to overturn the results of the election. So they're trying to find this balance in between, and it's very, very tricky for them, as you can see from the debate.
Well, and it's tricky, I think, too, is
game style. Wow.
You interviewed for your newest piece dozens of Republican voters and activists. Listen, a lot of them said, yes, they are going to vote. Some of them, and I don't want to overblow it, but some of them did say they're still debating whether to. You had one voter telling you, quote, I don't think we should vote until we fix the systems. We need to let them know that it's not acceptable, talking about GOP leaders in the state.
No, I'm not going to lower it. I'm going to leave it where it's at. It can pop $3. I mean, it still has ways to go for it to go where it can't go after a sell-off. The history of this thing is it'll sell off like that, then it'll jump up real nice. One of the few stocks that does that often. Will it reach my level today? I don't know. We are close to it, and a pop of $3 going down or up for this stock is not uncommon. It can definitely do that. I do feel comfortable where I got in because everything was telling me to get in. After its little drop off here, I got in right here midway. Could have sold that up there for about, let me see, midway here, 314. So about $1 up. But knowing that this stock can move more than that, I am going for, I guess, a little bit more, about $2.
Respond to those claims.
Greg Bluestein from the AJC. Greg, it's great to see you this morning after you had a late night last night there in Georgia. We appreciate you being with us. Great job on the debate stage. We appreciate your time. After the break, we're heading back to California, where very few ICU beds are now propelling that new lockdown. We're talking to the mayor of a city there about enforcing new stay-at-home restrictions, who also personally has suffered an unimaginable loss in this pandemic. But first, we are also keeping an eye on the House and Senate back in session today for what Politico is calling Hell Week, bearing down on Congress. They're looking at this looming deadline on government funding, a presidential veto threat on defense spending, and of course, the last chance for this Congress to pass something on COVID relief after months of gridlock. This morning, Senators Mark Warner and Susan Collins, two of the people leading these bipartisan talks on a compromise agreement, are out with a new op-ed urging their colleagues to do something. We're going to be keeping an eye on what comes out of those talks this week, but sources are telling our team on Capitol Hill there are still some major sticking points on
I don't know. We'll see.
And on aid to state and local governments, two issues that have
So right now it's currently at support on the deviation lines and support of the line that we drew right here, this other line. So it could use that to bounce up, As we see, it's doing higher highs and higher lows. This being the higher low, this being the higher high. Let's see if it continues to do that.
Vicks Vapo Patch. Easy to wear with soothing Vicks Vapors for her, for you, for the whole family. Trusted soothing vapors from Vicks.
Attention everyone on Medicare. Did you know that right now is the annual enrollment period for all Medicare recipients? Everyone on Medicare is encouraged to call 800-792-8271 now for your free, no obligation Medicare benefits review. Now is the time during the Medicare annual enrollment period to see if you are eligible to save money and get additional benefits at little to no
Wave of red coming through.
or additional benefits automatically. So make sure you call now during the Medicare annual enrollment period to make sure you are getting all the benefits you deserve. If you're not sure you're on the best plan for you, just call the number on your screen now for your free, no obligation Medicare benefits review. Call before the December 7th deadline. You may be able to save money and receive additional benefits. You may also be eligible for a plan that includes additional benefits like home prescription delivery and expanded at-home telehealth visits. Just call 800-792-8271 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and free rides to medical appointments. You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. There is no obligation to enroll.
It's like Salesforce is going to climb back up. If I had the capital, I would jump into Salesforce right now. Literally right now. It's trading a little higher after the low. And I would hold on to this for maybe 3-4 days.
Attention, do you have Medicare? Did you know that you may qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to see if you're eligible. Just call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-985-9143. In addition to receiving $144 every month, you might also qualify for a $0 Medicare Advantage plan that includes the following benefits: dental, including fillings, exams, and dentures; vision, including exams, frames, lenses, and even contacts; hearing, including
So it's consolidating.
and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center.
Normally when a stock consolidates like that,
Both the call and the consultation are 100% free with absolutely no obligation to
well,
enroll. Call the
it consolidated here after it went up. Consolidated here after it went up. So this is the indications of higher highs and higher lows. So pretty much, you know what it's doing. It did that here as well. So you can see that consolidated before it went down, consolidated before it went down, consolidated before it went down, and then consolidated before it went down. So now it's doing the same thing but in reverse. Doing consolidation up, consolidation up, consolidation. So we'll see. Right now it's starting to drop just a little bit further down. So basically probably going to the old support and then maybe bouncing back up from there.
Order affecting more than 33 million Californians. You're seeing more and more frustration from small business owners who fear they may go out of business. Here's one restaurant owner in Sherman Oaks, just outside LA, talking about a movie company setting up a dining area just feet from the outdoor space where she's not allowed to serve.
I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio.
I'm joined now by the mayor of Long Beach, California, Robert Garcia. Mayor Garcia, thanks for being with us this morning.
Absolutely happy to be here.
So talk about the new restrictions that are now being put in place. What do you say to somebody like that restaurant owner who worries these lockdowns are going to destroy their business? In other words, how do you weigh, the economic concerns with the health concerns as somebody who's in a position of leadership?
Yes, I was supposed to leave 15 minutes ago. but I like to see where the stock is going. I think we were right. We're primed and ready for a pop, as it did pop up $6 from the low, $4 from the low, right? $4 from the low because it reached, yeah, $4 from the low. Maybe it'll drop. It already dropped $2 of the high that it reached. So let's see if it can continue this little run. I knew it was going to sell off after that run that it had right here, being here and then here. I'm expecting for that to happen, for it to go higher.
As a son who lost both my parents, for me every single day, I was thinking about her in particular. She was an essential worker, she was a healthcare worker, and she was someone who was very, very careful. It could happen to her, it could happen to anybody. But it just gives me more resolve that we have to take on this fight seriously. And it's very frustrating to see the President of the United States having rallies without masks, having White House Christmas parties where nobody's wearing a mask, and not taking the pandemic as seriously as we could. California is doing the right thing, which is shutting down.
All right, you guys are done trading, huh?
That they took earlier this summer, while cases continue to rise. So I think that
I mean, Boeing is still a good stock. I mean, I don't think it's gonna reach the highs that it had.
What does it say to you that
It's already trading what, $2-3 below that.
is now being picked to lead HHS to try to guide the country out of the pandemic?
I think the highest it'll go is a 242 from where it's at right now. That being the new level of resistance that it's having a hard time breaking. So maybe a little bit beneath that.
We could not be happier about our Attorney General being he is, first of all, amazing.
I don't know. Let me see.
High integrity, high ethics, considering him both a mentor and a friend. And I think to have someone that's
Wow, look at that. I knew that was going to happen. I like NVAX right now.
always pushing for healthcare, but also to have
Massive run up. See, that's what happens when a stock starts to run up massively. It starts to stair step down, as we see here. So right now it's currently trading at the resistance from yesterday.
Look at California, for example. 60% of our cases are from the Latino community, only 40% of our population.
The low from yesterday, I'm sorry.
And an equity issue when it comes to COVID-19.
Yeah.
I think someone like Andrew Becerra will take that on directly. So we're going to lose him here. We're sad about that, but we could not be happy with President Biden and President Biden.
Mayor Robert Garcia from Long Beach. Mr. Mayor, we're so appreciative of having you on the show. We're thinking of you, and we're so sorry for your loss. Your mom seemed like an incredible woman.
So 314 being the low from yesterday. It already reached that. It actually passed it by a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's not that far away from what I want to sell at. I might hold on to this for 2 days. If I have to hold on to it past today, if it doesn't reach my trigger today, then I will up my trigger for a little bit more gain.
Psoriatic arthritis or moderate to severe ulcerative colitis when other medicines have not helped enough. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections. Before and during treatment, your doctor should check for infections like TB and do blood tests. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis B or C, have flu-like symptoms, or are prone to infections. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers, including lymphoma, and blood clots have happened. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz for RA may increase risk of death. Tears in the stomach or intestines and serious allergic reactions have happened. Needles. Fine for some, but for you, there's a pill that may provide symptom relief. Ask your doctor about the pill first prescribed for RA more than 7 years ago. Xeljanz, an injection.
If you need the key to fresh laundry, try Gain Flings. They have more freshness ingredients compared to Bargain liquid detergent. They have 3 superpowered ingredients that fight stain, OxiBoost, Debris odor remover, and concentrated detergent. Try Gain Flings and smell the difference.
Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way to take it home.
Learn how homeowners are strategically using a reverse mortgage loan to cover expenses, pay for health care, preserve your portfolio, and so much more.
A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference is how you pay it back.
Find out how reverse mortgages really work with AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage guide.
With a reverse mortgage, you can pay whatever you can when it works for you. Or you can wait and pay it off in one lump sum when you leave your home.
Discover the option that's best for you. Call today and find out more.
I'm proud to be a part of AAG. I trust them.
All right.
725-8856.
Is arthritis or joint pain holding you back? Jointflex is clinically proven to penetrate right to the source of pain for fast-acting and long-lasting relief. X out your joint pain with Jointflex, now with turmeric.
I have big news. You can now brush and floss at the same time. This is Waterpik Sonic Fusion. It's twice as effective as regular brushing and flossing. Go online or ask your dental professional about Waterpik Sonic Fusion.
Why did you invest in gold? Are you living in the past? In a digital world, gold shouldn't weigh down your portfolio. You see where things are going. Digital currencies like Bitcoin are the future. They're secure, borderless, and unlike gold, they actually have utility. Leave the pack behind. It's time to drop gold. Go digital. Go grayscale.
Robinhood believes now is the time to do money without the commission fees, so you can start investing today, wherever you are, even hanging with your dog. So, what are you waiting for? Download now and get your first stock on us. Robinhood. So this morning we're getting the most definitive explanation yet in an interview.
No, it's, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating that, you know, you have to wait a little longer, but I mean, I'm not frustrated that it's not selling yet. I mean, the goal is to sell it within the first 30 minutes, where we've been in this already now for going on an hour and a half. So, you know, it's about the third or fourth stock that I do that with. Following strong lines of support and resistance as it ends up just breaking those, but then climbing back up. I think I've held on to a stock more than a day. I think 3 days was the max I held on to a stock. One time I held on to a stock and I sold it at a small loss, like $1 loss. Then it went up. But I should have just held on to it. But that wasn't my original plan. So knowing Twillo has already dropped a little bit, going on 2 days of a drop.
I think about all the times in war zones where I've been shot at or rocketed. This was by far the scariest night of my life.
This being the third day of the drop, it definitely can reach my limit of my sell trigger. But I also think that it'll end up going higher. So I'm going to leave my sell trigger where it's at. See if it reaches that today. If it doesn't, then more than likely I will up that trigger for another $2. I mean, so for a $4 gain is what I'll do that with then. If it doesn't reach my trigger today, I do believe we're in range to hit my trigger today. How far down could it go? Any further down? I don't know. It definitely can go down to 305, and that still gives me a little room to hopefully not sell it at a loss, being that $25 is my limit. But you know, this is what Twillo does. Does this very often.
We have neurologists on our committee that said afterwards, in my entire career of reading about countless hundreds and thousands of cases of neurologic injury, I've never heard of something like this.
This is really unique in the medical literature.
It is.
New Hampshire Senator Jean Shaheen has been fighting for medical benefits for the victims.
So you bought into NVAX again. Are you eating up your profits?
More of these kinds of attacks in the future, and we need to be prepared. for them.
No.
And what countries
Okay.
have developed this kind of technology in the past? Well, we know Russia has it. Russia has denied
Well,
involvement in the incidents.
where does it go to?
Kept the report secret for months, even from Congress, until a bipartisan group of senators demanded to see it. A State Department spokesperson says the investigation is ongoing and each possible cause remains speculative.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I would probably do it at that level of support or resistance that it's having a hard time breaking. Right there at 128. If you got in it right here at 126, it's a $2 run. It can definitely be in reach of that. It did sell off. But then again, it is a biotech stock. I don't see any recent news on this thing of why it's selling off. None. So we will see, but that's where I would suggest selling it. If you're already green,
These 5 new cases like Mark's involving
if you want to add on to it, I don't like to overtrade, but why not? With a small account and you split it in half, and try to make a profit each and every day. They start to accumulate. You take these base hits like I do. So it also allows you to eliminate you over-trading, because if you have any money left over and you can afford to get another stock for a profit, then evaluate where it's at. I'm not saying, there's guru traders out there that trade, maybe do 3 or 4 trades on these big boy stocks. Right. Well, 30, 40 trades in one session is a little high, but those, I would say, more for like momentum stocks more than anything.
Did you know that you may qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to see if you're eligible. It's called the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 8.
Looks like it's going up. So
in addition to receiving
I don't know. It's having a hard time breaking that level right where it's currently at right now. We can see that it tried to break it twice, so that could be a good level of sell that. If you're already up $1 from that point you bought in. So,
including hearing aids and batteries and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center is open now at 800-985-9143.
No, you didn't have to sell it. I was just suggesting. If you're gonna trade more, if you have the capital to continue trading, be careful. Be conservative with it. Give yourself a certain, until you start really seeing everything. NVAX was definitely a good jump in right there where you got in for to jump in it again. So that was a smart play. So was BA on the second drop was pretty nice. It it was too high. So who jumped into BA?
I felt like
no, that's what I thought.
in my career. So when I heard about the applied digital skills,
Alright, so I don't know what JMI is doing. I took that completely off my charts here.
These are skills lots of people can learn.
As we see, JMI should have been the one that we jumped into, because you can see this thing went to 35.75, and it did open a little bit at the sweet spot in between the orange and resistance, but it's okay. It was trading a little high for me, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't looking at it.
That's readers.com.
This year, we're all finding new ways to learn at home, and the Greenlight debit card and app make it easy for kids to learn about money. Learn how to budget, learn how to save, learn how to spend wisely. Kids learn through doing. Greenlight is here to let your kids do money.
When you're a small business owner, there's no such thing as 9 to 5. Days are longer, and business hours, well, they're anything but predictable.
Well, JMI was a stock that blew everyone out the gates today. This thing just flew. It was at a decent spot. I did like, the Mirage. Wouldn't call this a Mirage, or Twillo. was at when it opened, being at oversold, very close to oversold. And it taking a bit longer to get to where we wanted to go. And that's quite all right, but and you know, it's just gonna happen. You know, you're engaged in one stock, so we got the oversold Mirage. Normally these things tend to go down at least a little bit more and then climb up, as it already did multiple times, and looks like it's trying to go for another run. So I say if it stays around this area right here where it's at right now, and might consolidate around here, maybe drop to 310 most, maybe. I do think that it'll start to rally near the end of the market. It doesn't have an indication. I don't think it's ever done a sell-off right at the bell or before the bell rings. It did that on Thursday after it ran up. So we still have another run up for this thing to go. So I can definitely run up one more time before it does that. But normally it rallies right before the bell rings at the end of the market. So we see that it did that on Monday. We see that it did that on Tuesday. We see it did it on Wednesday. Thursday, it did go down right before the bell. It didn't rally up. It rallied down. And then Friday, it rallied a little bit up after a huge upswing. So we'll see what happens. J Maya is amazing. So I did buy J Maya long term in my long term account on Friday. After that drop that it did on Friday, and I'll show you where that was at. Right here at $30. So I got it on 30.50.
What are medical workers telling you about the challenges they're facing now that we're starting to see this growth in cases after Thanksgiving?
So I'm gonna hold on to J Maya for maybe, I don't know, months, a couple years maybe. If it drops again back to 30, then I will buy another 30 shares. I would have to unload one of my other long-term stocks. I don't know. I'm very comfortable, and I do like the long-terms I'm holding. I'm holding Apple. Apple is an amazing stock to hold. It's always been something I've always wanted to do, is own Apple. DraftKings and BA. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'll just deduct money from one of my accounts to be able to buy another 30 shares of it instead of having to unload, because BA is, I own BA. BA is a good stock to own. Apple's another great stock to own. DraftKings, I believe it's gonna start flying higher. It reached a level of 60 some dollars. It can definitely go higher than that as it's making its way back up there. Would have loved to have gotten Neo months ago, but you know, not really too psyched up about a car stock. I know that the EV sector is booming, but not a fan. Tesla is just awesome.
So very critically important for our patients. So that is really our biggest concern. We're not worried about working hard. We're not worried about putting in overtime. We're not worried about missing.
All right, guys. So as we see Twilio making its way back up, let's see if we can maintain this run. Just needed to go up $3. So we know that Twilio can definitely do that. We just need to maintain its momentum going up. As it starts to reach the level of resistance, it's approaching the level of resistance right here at what price is that? 314.19. If we can reach that level and then break it, then we are in great standings to sell this mofo today. So we're literally about $2 away from it reaching the level that I want to sell at. Let's see if we can maintain this momentum.
So, Jake, take us through these new stay-at-home measures California is implementing, and what are the biggest concerns there right now?
Good morning, Chris. Yes, that's right. Here in the San Francisco Bay Area, you know, streets like the one I'm on here in San Francisco's Chinatown would normally be buzzing with deliveries at this hour. But right now, the only truck we have seen is the one behind me making deliveries to a food bank. The shutdown orders voluntarily imposed by the 5 counties around me, along with...
All right, so we can see he's having a hard time breaking that level of resistance. Let's see if we can maintain this momentum and break through that.
That's all sorts of things that people have come to rely on for their living and for their mental health. So that creates, of course, an incredible problem.
I honestly just needed to stay consolidated around this area if it's not going to pop one way or the other. If it consolidates around this area, then I do feel that it can just pop back up for a $2 gain, which is what I needed to do. At this current moment, I need to do a $3 run.
We defeated that surge at the time through these very stringent lockdown measures. Well, officials here are hoping that by taking these measures in effect, as you mentioned, 33 million Californians, we may be able to turn it around again. Chris.
Jacob Ward, thank you so much for that in San Francisco for us this morning. A lot of concern there as well. But here's where we are with President-elect. Joe Biden has decided on the key members of his public health team. And of course, with the pandemic, these selections are being very closely watched. California Attorney General Javier Becerra, if confirmed, will be his HHS secretary. Among others on the list, Vivek Murthy will reprise his role as Surgeon General, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, as previously announced, will join as Chief Medical Advisor. NBC's Mike Memoli is covering the transition from Wilmington, Delaware. Mike, why Javier Becerra? He has been a leader in the fight to preserve Obamacare, but is not a medical doctor. What have you learned about that selection in particular?
Well, Chris, it's interesting because I've been talking to some Democrats this morning. Even they're expressing a little bit of surprise that Becerra is the choice for HHS. You'll remember that as we've been talking about Becerra as a possible cabinet appointee, it's been for a different position, for the Justice Department as Attorney General. Of course, Becerra now the Attorney General of the state of California. But as you look at the announcement from the Biden transition team this morning, as of the entire healthcare team, they're saying that this is a team that looks like America. And what has been one of the things we've been hearing about HHS specifically from different groups within the party, it's that it is critically important to have somebody leading HHS, leading up the pandemic response in part, who is of color.
So I just needed to consolidate right there, and hopefully it can bounce from there, because it seems that that's what it's doing right now, and it's what it does. So at this point, a pop for this to go to where we need to go is definitely in reach if it can maintain this level.
Coming back to the role of Surgeon General, you have Rochelle Walensky, an infectious disease expert from Massachusetts, who will become the CDC director. It's the different kind of experience that Becerra brings to this as well, though. As Attorney General of California, he's been helping lead the fight to defend the Affordable Care Act against challenges from the Trump administration, from Republican attorneys general across the country. He also has relationships that are key to have in government as a longtime member of Congress. He served.
Now, we'll say this, at my level, if it reaches my level of what my trigger, it's definitely going to hit the overbought area. But it can do overbought, as we can see. Neo did overbought for about 10 minutes before it cooled down a little bit. So did BA, and so did NVAX.
Thank you for that. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo right now is holding a briefing on the state's COVID-19 response with a special appearance by Dr. Anthony Fauci. Let's listen in.
Hodgepodge is a technical medical term that we have here in New York. We also apply it to government. Hodgepodge, just a discoordinated mess. It also reduces forum shopping. You know, when you see states where one county's open, one county's closed, you want to go for dinner, you go to the neighboring county. You want to go get a haircut, you go to the neighboring county, which only increases the number of people traveling, which is exactly what you don't want to do. and it reduces the confusion. We're also then taking it to the next level. We try to coordinate with surrounding states. So if I'm going to close restaurants, I try to coordinate it with New Jersey, Connecticut, etc. Because if I close a restaurant but you live in Brooklyn and you can drive to New Jersey, then all I did is increase the traffic in New Jersey. It's not a perfect coordination, but in lieu of a national set of firm guidelines, which is frankly what I would have liked to see, we have come up with a regional compact of guidelines. We have been very transparent and communicative with New Yorkers. We have websites. I give them numbers every day. I wanted them to hear the facts. If anything, I've been accused of being overly communicative, especially at home. But the more facts people know, I think, the better. And we have been religious about following the data and the science. We do more testing than any state in the United States by far. We have more data points by far, and we rely on the data. And it's not anecdotal, it's not political, it's not an opinion. And we also started something called the Surgeon Flex Public Health System Management, which is something we're going to be implementing in an increased way today. Surgeon Flex, it's not the most creative name, but what it says is we surge and we flex the hospital system in the state. We start with 44,000 hospital beds statewide. We can then mandate by the Department of Health, Dr. Howard Zucker to my left, Jim Malatras to his left.
So 3 of you left.
Rhodes to my far right, Melissa DeRosa
Still trading.
to my right, you know. Dr. Zucker and Melissa, you've worked with them. But Dr. Zucker can
I would have made, you know, if you made your money,
which we've done before.
then, you know, maybe call it a day.
No elective surgeries, which we have done before. And we can create field hospital beds, which we've done.
If you're holding for it to sell it, to reach a trigger price that you want to sell it at, it hasn't reached it yet. As long as it doesn't surpass what you're willing to lose. I mean, don't hold it if it keeps going further down. I would suggest not to do that, but we'll see. I'm nowhere close to sell it where it would be my exit strategy. My
total system capacity of about 58,000 beds for COVID patients. Today we have 4,600 hospitalized.
right. So I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not close to selling it at my my $25 loss limit. So
that would be, from my point of view, the last resource. We did that. The Jacob Javits.
I mean, we're having a hard time. Just, you know, we're bouncing back and forth from this line to this line, and then it breaks up. It pops up right here. So we're having a hard time breaking that level. Don't know. It dropped already from yesterday's high. You know, almost $18. So it could rally up at the end of the market. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave my trigger where it's at. If it doesn't sell by the end of the market day, I'll hold on to this and then up my trigger.
Nurses, doctors, hospital workers, 1199, they had the longest year of anyone. So they come into this stressed. We're going to ask retired doctors and nurses to sign up, and we will automatically re-register them in the state without cost. We believe we can get about another 20,000 nurses and doctors from this.
No, it's definitely annoying, but you know.
Flex on the Surgeon Flex is we have 215 hospitals. What happened in this?
That's how it is.
Interestingly, was not that the system was overwhelmed, individual hospitals got overwhelmed. And the individual hospitals did not have the capacity to balance patients. Frankly, this was an education for me. So you have public hospital systems. And let's say you have a public hospital system that had 10 hospitals. One hospital gets overwhelmed. They did not have the capacity to balance those patients among their other 9 hospitals, right? So even in the public systems, before somebody walked into one hospital that was already overburdened, they didn't say, hold on, I'm going to put you in a ambulance and drive you to my sister hospital that has less volume. What our flex says is those hospitals have to flex patient load and share it first within their system. We also shift patient load among private hospitals, which was frankly more unorthodox, right? You're going to go to NYU Langone, you think you're going to NYU Langone. What we say in the flex is if NYU Langone is filled or at capacity, we're going to transfer you to Mount Sinai or another hospital. And then we actually have the capacity to shift between public and private systems. None of this has been done before. It was highly disruptive for the hospital management system. But we started in the spring, it went fine enough, and we now have had more experience in it. We've started the flex management system, where every night we get an inventory from every hospital doctor. How many patients do you have? How many ICU beds do you have? What capacity do you have? And we do that on a daily basis. If our hospital capacity becomes critical, we're going to close down that region. Period. We close down a red zone. What is
¿Este es de lavar?
hospital capacity?
¿De lavar?
Our
¿Es un short, no?
is
Esto es de lavar, este pantalón.
shows that within
Oh, ¿lo vas a querer?
weeks you will hit critical hospital capacity, we close you down. So if your 7-day average says if that continues for 3 weeks, you're going to hit critical hospital capacity, we close you down. We want that 3-week buffer. And then we call critical 90% of your hospital capacity. So a little complicated. If your 7-day average says if it continues for 3 weeks, you're going to hit 90% of your hospital capacity, close down. CDC changed their guidance on Friday. Some have been critical about the change in guidance from CDC. I'm not. I believe as the facts change, your opinion changes. As the facts change, your strategy should change. I don't have a problem with that. But they offered additional guidance on indoor dining, especially.
All right, another consolidation. It isn't like this is going to go to my point before I leave today. So I'm going to leave it where it's at. Let's see if it rallies up near the end of the market, or maybe as we can see yesterday, real quick before I go, it did rally up. It reached this level here at 937. So we're about an hour away from that, more or less. So let's see if we can do that. And yesterday, or the previous day, Thursday, or Wednesday, from the low that it had early in the morning, 6:45, 9. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might not be here present to see this rally up, which is quite alright. I do have my trigger set ready to go. I do think this is going to end up going higher. So we'll just see that we'll just hold it for an extra day, maybe two, depending how much money I want to make on this. I gotta see how it reacts to the rest of the day to see what happens. Definitely not gonna lower my trigger. I think my trigger is perfect where it's at. I might put it a little higher depending on what it does today.
This isn't a political question. Trump's CDC and the Biden advisors all agree on the small gathering guidance. But it's about personal responsibility and community concern, and I'm telling you, compliance is a major issue for us here. I'm also frustrated that we see polls that suggest a high percent of Americans are not ready to take this vaccine. 49% nationwide. Bigger problem in the black community. 57% say they're not ready to take the vaccine. But 75% to 80% needs to be vaccinated to hit critical mass on the vaccination. And that's a problem. If you have 50% saying I'm not taking it, but we have to hit 75 to 80. The good news is New York still has one of the lowest positivity rates in the nation. Only Maine, Vermont, Hawaii are lower than we are. And Maine, Vermont, Hawaii, beautiful states, but different than New York. They don't have the cities, they don't have the density, etc. So for us to be down that low is really good news. As a matter of fact, our worst region, our highest region in terms of positivity, is still lower than 41 states. So it's tricky because relative to everyone else, we're doing well, but the real question is, it's not a relative contest at the end of the day, it's how you're doing in your state. So to recap, we're going to monitor the hospital capacity.
Alright, so it's now has broken support. So now that it broke support, it's going to go down.
New York State, 25% everywhere else.
This is what we didn't want to happen as a consolidated, go in the reverse of what we're trying to do.
We're going to add 25% additional hospital beds, renew the registration for nurses and doctors to get us a backup staff pool, continue to caution on the small spread, and at the same time, we are gearing up to have the most efficient, most effective, most fair vaccination program in the country, reaching out to the black community, Latinos, undocumented, to make sure that it's fair. So a couple of questions for you, Dr. Fauci. That's what we're doing. In general, your opinion has always been valuable to us. The holiday spread, I think it continues through Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. Trying to guess, and I know it's a guess, when we could see a peak to this holiday spread. Is it after New Year's? Is it January, mid-January? Do you have any guess, educated point about that? And again, thank you very, very much for being with us.
Well, thank you very much, Governor, for giving me the opportunity to listen to what I found to be a very interesting plan that you have for New York. It seems really sound, and you have a lot of, backup contingencies, which I like. So you're not going to get caught short-handed on this, I'm certain. So thank you for that. With regard to the issue of the holiday spread and the peaks, they're going to be superimposed upon each other. So you would expect the full blunt of the travel and the family set gatherings with friends that you alluded to as being a problem. You'd expect that the effect of the Thanksgiving surge would be probably another week and a week and a half from now, because it's usually 2.5 weeks from the time of the event. The problem is that's going to come right up to the beginning of the Christmas Hanukkah potential surge. So you have a surge upon a surge, and then before you can handle that, more people are going to travel over Christmas. They're going to have more of those family and friends gatherings that you accurately said are an issue. So if those two things happen and we don't mitigate well, we don't listen to the public health measures that we need to follow, that we could start to see things really get bad in the middle of January. So I think not only for New York State, but for any state or city that is facing similar problems, without substantial mitigation, the middle of January can be a really dark time for us. But as you said in your presentation, Governor, there are some things that we can do to mitigate against that. I think particularly the appreciation that it's such a natural thing to think, when I have family and friends over for the holidays, Christmas and Hanukkah, you get indoors, you take your mask off because you're eating and drinking, and you don't realize that there may be somebody that you know, that you love, that's a friend, that's a family member, who is perfectly well with no symptoms, and yet they got infected in the community and brought it into that small gathering that you're now having in your home. So that's the reason why I want to underscore what you said. That's one of the issues. But bottom line, for your first question, mid-January is probably going to be the bad time.
The small spread, family spread, living room spread, we call it living room spread here. So like 16 states have done.
These fucking guys, man. Alright guys, my departure is coming soon. I'm going to be leaving soon. I'm very happy that those of you that made money, those of you that are holding, you know, if you're not close to where your trigger, what you're able to lose, what you're willing to lose per trading session, and you know this stock to be that you're holding has potential to move up, because there's nothing telling you that it has. You know, we'll see. I will go conservative with everything.
You mentioned in your presentation how you don't want somebody who's from New York.
It looks like I'm going to hold on to this a little bit longer than I'd like to. It's having a hard time breaking this level right here. This level of resistance right here. It really is. So, this level right here is where it's having a hard time breaking this level right here. Actually, see if I can make that straighter.
So not only the number of 10 seems reasonable, but make sure that when
so right here,
that they're not people you have no idea where they've been or who they've been exposed to. I mean, you want to be friendly, you want to be collegial, but you really got to be careful.
If we can pop that, then we're golden. If we can pop that, then needs to pop this.
The practical implications are so difficult. As I mentioned at my birthday yesterday, one of my daughters who wasn't with me, who wanted to come up, she had a quarantine before she could come to my birthday, you know. So you want to go travel and see someone, it's not just that weekend, it's the whole quarantining process before. And in this state, we have very strict regulations of when you come in, what you have to do. On the vaccinations, looking ahead, 75–80% is going to be very hard to reach. New Yorkers are tuned in, and we're going to be very aggressive on public education, outreach, etc. But what does your crystal ball say? When is 75–80 even feasible? You know, are there anywhere from May, June, July, August, September? What would you guess there? Which is when it's really over, right? When the vaccination hits critical mass.
Yeah, when you have 75–80% of the people vaccinated, you have an umbrella of protection over the community that the level of community spread will be really, really very low. The virus will not have any place to go. It's almost metaphorically, if you think the virus is looking for some victims, when most of the people are protected, the virus has a hard time latching on to someone. When that happens, Governor, is going to be entirely dependent upon how well we do, how well I do, you do, your health officials, in getting the message out of why it's so important for people to get vaccinated. Because if 50% of the people get vaccinated, then we don't have that umbrella of immunity over us. But let's say it works out well. Let me answer your question specifically. And we do a really good job of convincing people. Between now and the end of December, you would likely...
Yeah, the volume's not there right now. Well, we know that around this time the volume decreases. So, we'll see.
And then February 3rd, I would think by the time you get...
It took it 2 hours and a half to reach a high level what it did yesterday. You know, it took 2 hours and a half to get to that point after it dropped from here to here. So, I don't know if today we'll do that too. We'll do the same thing. We'll see.
April, May, and June. By the time you get to the summer, remember it's a prime boost, which means you get vaccinated today, you get a boost 28 days from now, and then 7 to 10 days following that, you're optimally protected. Even though you can get some protection even after the first shot, but optimally it's within 7 to 10 days following the second shot. If we do that well, by the time we get into the core of the summer and get to the end of the summer and into the start of the third quarter of 2021, we should be in good shape. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's the reason why it's so important to extend ourselves out to the community, particularly to the Black, African American, Latino, the people who are undocumented, the people who we really need to get vaccinated.
Well, Doctor, I couldn't agree with you more than that.
I want to bring in Dr. Shoshana Ungerleider to talk about what we've just heard from Anthony Fauci and Governor Cuomo. Dr. Ungerleider is an internal medicine physician at California Pacific Medical Center. So much to talk about there, but let's start because a lot of people right now are making plans about the holidays that are coming up. And this idea that 70% of the positivity rate is coming from these small gatherings. And there is this tendency to think, well, it's my family, they're my friends, so it's going to be okay. What's your message as people are making those very important decisions for the next several weeks?
Well, thank you, Chris. What we need people to know is that we're in a very dire situation in this country. I think that's been made very, very obvious by Dr. Fauci and others. You know, the problem with where we're at right now is that we started out November with an already existing uptrend of cases in America. We then will see an even larger surge due to the Thanksgiving holiday when many, many millions of people traveled and families gathered, understandably. But what we've yet to see is the numbers that are still lagging 1 to 2 weeks behind. And then just a few weeks later, of course, we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's, where people really want to come together.
I think it's going to stair-step down.
This is hugely problematic. And
no, NVAX. This stock has already been stair-stepping down. We're using it to pop $3 from where it's at right now.
One of the things that Governor Cuomo has talked about throughout and talked about again today is that he's moving with the idea that as the
I could definitely do it. We're using it to have that surge, that run.
Is that people are confused. People are confused because they think they know something and then it changes and then it changes again. And there's already, as you know, a ton of misinformation out there. The frightened, the number of people frightened about the vaccine, as we just saw. Do you agree with that there have to be adjustments? And do you understand the confusion that smart people who want to do the right thing have right now?
I do agree, actually, with the changes that have to be made in real time. This is how science works. We have to look moment to moment at what is happening and then make decisions based on evidence. You know, the facts are that our hospitals are completely overwhelmed. We're running out of supplies. Doctors and nurses are getting sick themselves. This is just over the last month or so. Medical care for everyone is suffering, and so many lives will be lost needlessly if we don't all step up right now. It's very hard to hear things changing so rapidly. But what I have to tell you, Michael Osterholm said this best, healthcare workers aren't the front line. We're the last line. We're the last ones that you have, and we don't have a deep bench. That is a fact. So we need everyone's help right now. We need to rally as a country and do the things that we know work, like wearing masks, distancing, avoiding gathering indoors, and washing our hands.
Dr. Shoshana Unger-Leiter, they are simple things. They have become very complicated for some people to follow, but it's always important to have you on and get that voice. And I thank you for sitting with us and listening to what Dr. Fauci and the governor had to say. We appreciate it. Still to come, a big deadline today in the Georgia Senate races, and the latest from the candidates, including a one-man debate and the refusal to accept that President Trump lost the election.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis.
Man, it's just trading sideways right there in that level, right there where it's at right now.
When methotrexate does not help enough, Xeljanz can help relieve joint pain and swelling, stiffness, and help stop further joint damage. Even without methotrexate, Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight.
It pops up about $1 and change from that level.
Like TB and do blood tests. Tell your doctor.
So we definitely have a strong level of support. Now we just gotta wonder or hope that level of support is strong enough to hold for this to rally up.
Tears in the stomach or intestines and serious allergic reactions have happened. Don't let another morning go by without asking your doctor about the pill first prescribed for RA more than 7 years ago. Xeljanz.
Attention! Do you have Medicare? Did you know that you may qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to see if you're eligible. Just call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-985-9143. In addition to receiving $144 every month, you might also qualify for a $0 Medicare Advantage plan that includes the following benefits: dental, including fillings, exams, and dentures; vision, including exams, frames, lenses, and even contacts; hearing, including hearing aids and batteries; and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center is open now at 800-985-9143. Both the call and the consultation are 100% free with absolutely no obligation to enroll. Call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center now at 800-985-9143. That's 800-985-9143.
If you're in Georgia, today is the last day to register to vote in the critical January 5th runoff elections. Right now, one of the candidates, Jon Ossoff, is rallying voters in an Atlanta suburb with a boost from a former presidential candidate, Julian Castro. Ossoff is fresh off his first debate.
All right, guys, I'm about to sign off. Looks like this is going to be a little bit longer hold for me than I expected. So, in hindsight, if I was holding just a little bit more shares than I'm currently holding, getting in where I got in right here, and then selling it right here for $1 and change, I probably would have sold it there, being conservative. But since I'm only holding 2 shares because of the small account challenge trading large cap stocks, we are going for a $2 gain, so not much, as we see that it's having a hard time breaking this level right here. It just broke the level of support, so we'll see what happens. So I'm about to sign off, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'll just record this part the whole way through, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll see what the end result was. See if it sold for me today at my level, or if I'm holding on to it expecting for a little bit more of a gain. Alright, guys, have a good one.
Republican Party to turn out their vote in what